My name is Alex. I am 28 years old and serve in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. My job involves constant risks, but none of them have ever frightened me as much as the incident I experienced in my grandmother's old house. Located in a remote village where my grandmother was born, the house had been abandoned after her death, and now it was time to sell it. I understood that I could no longer afford to keep it on my shoulders, especially when money was needed more than ever. When I arrived in the village, a strange feeling overtook me. I hadn't been here in a long time, and although everything looked the same, something in the atmosphere had changed. The house stood alone, surrounded by overgrown bushes and sparse trees, as if guarding its secrets. I remembered playing here as a child and listening to my grandmother's old stories. The day passed quickly as I began preparing the house for sale. I cleaned up the garden and did some minor repairs. By evening, when the work was done, I realized how exhausted I was. The journey had drained me, and I decided to stay overnight. I thought it wouldn't be so scary to spend the night in my childhood home, even if it was abandoned. Getting ready for the night, I locked all the doors and windows, turned on a flashlight, and settled on the couch in the living room. But sleep wouldn't come. The silence around me was deafening. I tossed and turned on the couch, but despite all my efforts, I couldn't fall asleep. Suddenly, I heard a strange sound. It was as if someone was knocking from the basement. That was odd, very odd. I sat up, listening, and heard a creaking noise again, followed by a faint knock. What could it be? My inner voice told me it was probably just the old wooden boards, but something about the sound made me uneasy. I took out my service pistol and slowly moved toward the staircase leading to the basement. My heart pounded in my chest, and my legs felt heavy. Every step was difficult. I opened the basement door and descended the stairs. It was dark in the basement. Only the dim beam of my flashlight cut through the darkness. The light revealed old belongings, rusty tools, boxes, and thick cobwebs, but there was no sound, no movement. I carefully looked around and then noticed something strange in the corner. A small doll, pierced with needles. It was made from rough materials. A chill ran down my spine. Stepping closer, I examined its details. It resembled a woman, with long black hair and a white dress. Its eyes were rigid, and its body bore marks from the needles, as if someone had been performing something terrible on it. I took a step back, when suddenly, a loud crack sounded behind me. Something had fallen. I turned sharply, but there was no one in the basement. Only emptiness, wrapped in cobwebs. My heart pounded, and fear tightened around my chest. I decided it was best to leave, but just as I started climbing the stairs, the sound returned. This time, it was clearer, as if someone was laughing. I froze. It wasn't laughter. It was something sinister, some eerie encouragement that made me stand still. I bolted from the basement, locked the door, and checked the house again, securing all the windows and doors. Everything was closed, but I felt that someone, or something, was watching me. Unable to find peace, I returned to the room where I had planned to sleep. But sleep was gone, and I began hearing noises again, footsteps, rustling, as if someone was wandering through the house. Time dragged on endlessly. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I tensed, gripping my pistol tightly as I slowly approached. My heartbeat matched my footsteps. When I opened the door, I saw only darkness, the emptiness outside. Then I heard a whisper, as if something was murmuring right into my ear. I shut the door, but the strange noises returned. It sounded as if someone was chasing something away. Unable to endure it any longer, I decided I needed to leave. I gathered my things, and as I glanced at the old doll, I felt something pulling me toward it. I forced myself to look away and rushed to the exit. I flung the door open and ran outside. The night was cold, the sky covered with clouds. As I got into the car, I felt a presence behind me. I looked into the rearview mirror, and for a split second I saw a shadow. but then it disappeared. I started the engine quickly and drove off the property. I was scared, but at the same time, I felt the fear slowly fading, leaving only the urge to get away from that place. By the time I finally left, I didn't care if the house sold for next to nothing. I didn't want to go near it ever again. That house had become a symbol of something terrible, something I never wanted to remember. I quickly forgot about the doll, the noises, and the laughter, but the feeling of unease stayed with me for a long time. I learned that some places are best left in the past, where they belong,